You are lying in bed. The room is dark. Everything is fine. And then your brain starts. What if that thing you said 3 years ago comes up again? What if the meeting tomorrow goes wrong? What if the person who hasn't texted back is angry at you? What if the worst version of the situation, the one that hasn't happened, the one that might never happen, is actually the one that plays out? Your brain builds entire worlds out of nothing. Full conversations that never occurred. Confrontations that may never come. Scenarios so detailed, so emotionally real, that your body responds to them as if they are actually happening. Your heart rate changes, your stomach tightens, your nervous system shifts into alert. And the strangest part is not that this happens. The strangest part is that your brain is doing it on purpose. This is not a glitch. It is not anxiety run amok. What your brain is doing when it constructs fake scenarios, when it plays out imaginary futures and replays altered pasts, is one of the most sophisticated things the human mind is capable of. And the reason it does, it reaches all the way back to the earliest chapters of human survival. But first, you need to understand what is actually happening inside your head when the scenarios begin. Neuroscientists have a name for the network responsible for this. It is the same network you have heard about before. The default mode network. The cluster of brain regions that becomes most active not when you are focused on a task, but when you are doing nothing at all. The medial prefrontal cortex. The posterior cingulate cortex. The hippocampus. These regions, working together, are responsible for what researchers call mental simulation. The brain's ability to construct detailed, sensory-rich models of situations that are not currently happening. Psychologist Daniel Gilbert at Harvard University has spent decades studying what he calls the human ability to pre-feel the future. In his research, Gilbert found that humans are unique among animals in their capacity to mentally travel through time, to project themselves into hypothetical futures, and experience emotional responses to events that have not yet occurred. He called this ability affective forecasting, and it is deeply woven into how your brain makes decisions, manages risk, and prepares for social situations. When your brain constructs a scenario about tomorrow's meeting going badly, it is not torturing you, it is rehearsing. Think about what mental simulation actually does for you. It allows you to practice a difficult conversation before it happens. It lets you anticipate how someone might react so you can adjust your approach in advance. It prepares your body for physical threat, raising cortisol, sharpening attention, increasing heart rate, so that if the threat materializes, you are already ahead of it. Your brain is running a simulation so that your real self can benefit from the outcome. This is why the scenarios feel so real. Your brain needs them to feel real. A simulation that does not engage your emotions is a simulation that does not change your behavior. And changing behavior is the entire point. Researcher Mary Helen Imordino-Yang at the University of Southern California has studied how the brain uses emotional experience during mental simulation to consolidate learning and shape future action. Her work showed that the default mode network, the same network that generates your fake scenarios, is not a passive resting state. It is actively constructing your model of yourself in relation to the world, integrating past experience with anticipated future to produce something closer to wisdom than worry. But then why does it go wrong? Why do the scenarios spiral? Why do they replay the same worst-case outcome again and again, growing more catastrophic with each pass? The answer lies in the same evolutionary logic that built the system in the first place. Your brain did not evolve in a world where threats were hypothetical. It evolved in a world where missing a threat could cost you your life. The predator you failed to notice, the rival who might betray you, the social rejection that could leave you without the group's protection. In that world, the cost of underestimating danger was catastrophic, and the cost of overestimating it was merely uncomfortable. Your brain learned, over hundreds of thousands of years, to weight the worst-case scenario far more heavily than the most likely one. Psychologists call this negativity bias. And it is not a flaw in your mental architecture. It is the optimization strategy of a brain that spent millennia in genuine danger. The problem, and it is a profound problem, is that the threats your brain is now simulating are almost never the kind that require physical preparation. The meeting that might go wrong will not kill you. The unanswered text is not evidence of mortal abandonment. The thing you said 3 years ago has likely not been thought about by anyone else since the moment it left your mouth. But your brain does not know that. It is running a threat detection and simulation system designed for a world that no longer exists, at full power, inside a world where most of the threats are social, abstract, and deeply uncertain. And uncertainty is the key. Researcher Archie de Burker at University College London conducted a remarkable experiment in which participants were asked to predict whether they would receive a mild electric shock under varying conditions of certainty and uncertainty. What de Burker found was striking. People were significantly more stressed when the outcome was uncertain than when they knew for certain that a shock was coming. Certainty, even the certainty of something bad, was less physiologically distressing than not knowing. Your brain, when it constructs fake scenarios, is attempting to resolve uncertainty. It is trying to find the answer before the situation arrives. And because the uncertainty is often genuine, you do not know how the meeting will go, you do not know why the text is unanswered, the simulation keeps running. It tries version after version of the outcome. It plays the worst case to prepare you for it. It replays the past to find where things went wrong, to prevent a repetition. It is searching for resolution that, by definition, it cannot yet find. This is why mental simulation and anxiety are so closely linked. Anxiety is not the malfunction of the simulation system. Anxiety is the simulation system running in a context where resolution is unavailable. Here is what makes this even stranger. Your brain often cannot tell the difference between what you are imagining and what you have actually experienced. Neuroscientist Carl Diceroth at Stanford University has studied how memory and imagination share the same neural machinery. The same hippocampal circuits that encode real events also generate imagined ones, and the emotional content that gets attached to both is processed in the same regions. A scenario you have imagined vividly enough, repeatedly enough, can leave traces that feel indistinguishable from actual memory. This is why you can become genuinely upset about a conversation that never happened. Why you can rehearse an argument so many times that you feel the anger of it before you have said a single word to the person you are imagining. Why you can play out a rejection so fully that the grief of it arrives before any actual rejection has occurred. Your brain has simulated the experience, and simulation, at the level of neural firing and emotional response, is experience. There is something important hidden inside this, though, because if your brain cannot reliably distinguish between real and simulated experience, then it also cannot reliably distinguish between the catastrophic scenario you keep rehearsing and a different one, a more accurate one, a more balanced one, a scenario in which things go reasonably well. The same machinery that generates worst-case spirals can generate something else entirely. But it tends to default to threat, because threat is what it was trained for across thousands of generations. Changing what you simulate is not a matter of willpower. It is a matter of deliberately introducing new inputs into the simulation process. Researchers who study cognitive behavioral therapy have documented across decades of clinical work that the content of mental simulation can be redirected, not suppressed, not silenced, but redirected, by engaging the prefrontal cortex in an active questioning relationship with the scenario being generated. What is the actual evidence that this will happen? What is the most realistic outcome as opposed to the worst? What has happened in genuinely similar situations before? These are not questions that make the simulation stop. They are questions that change what gets simulated. Your brain creates fake scenarios because it is trying to protect you, because it loves you in the only way a brain can love anything, by working constantly and relentlessly to model every possible danger before it arrives. The scenarios are real. The emotions attached to them are real. The neural firing is real. The threat, most of the time, is not. You are lying in bed. The room is dark. Everything is fine. And your brain, doing exactly what it was built to do, is already working on tomorrow.